Biden says Putin can't remain in power. Democrats try getting tough on crime. And could new COVID restrictions be on the way? Then more on this week's headlines. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Russia has pledged to reduce military forces around Kiev, Ukraine's capital. While this is encouraging, it doesn't mean the war is over just yet. NATO's Secretary General said that Russia isn't withdrawing, they're merely regrouping, due to the fact that Russian soldiers are allegedly low on morale and refusing to obey orders. This is kind of like a married couple saying, okay, we won't fight in public or in front of the kids anymore, for now. Yeah, that's better, but we just wish one of you would permanently move out already. The stock market rose multiple days in a row before dipping again on Wednesday, and oil prices fell. This is in light of peace talks between Russia and Ukraine going more smoothly this past week, and President Biden ordering the release of 1 million barrels of oil per day for 6 months from reserves to try and combat gas prices. Wait, the stock market thinks Russia is actually going to keep its word. I never thought I'd say this, but I wish I was as optimistic as the stock market, especially since Russia immediately attacked areas in Ukraine where they said they'd be scaling back. It makes sense the stock market would trust Russia, though. After all, the stock market is just like Russia. Volatile, favors the rich, and it crashes and burns every couple of decades. Another reason to be less optimistic about the war ending is the fact that Russia is sending more mercenaries into eastern Ukraine to try and capture the Donbas region. Man, the Russian economy is so bad, it's hard for them to even find soldiers willing to commit war crimes. Now they have to outsource. What's next? Are the Russian tanks going to be operated by Uber drivers? As if it isn't bad enough they're smashing your home, now you have to listen to their horrible mixtapes as well. President Biden caused an international stir this week during a speech in Poland when he said this.
For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
That's actually the most clear President Biden has ever been on, well, anything. A White House official tried to walk it back almost immediately, saying the president's point was that Putin cannot be allowed to exercise power over his neighbors or the region. He was not discussing Putin's power in Russia or regime change. Right, that's totally what he meant. Meanwhile, a UK cabinet minister said their nation's stance was that regime change should be led by the Russians. The Russian people, I think, are pretty fed up with what is happening in Ukraine. This illegal invasion, the destruction of their livelihoods, their economy is collapsing around them, and I think the Russian people will decide the fate of Putin and his cronies, which is basically British for, "We didn't say nothing, Putin, point your missile that way." But yes, I'm sure the Russian people will decide the fate of Putin in one of their free and open elections. Oh, would you look at that? Putin got 110% of the vote. Again. Boy, the Russians really do love that guy. Biden later clarified the clarification of what he said, explaining, "I'm not walking anything back. I was expressing my outrage. He shouldn't remain in power. Just like bad people shouldn't continue to do bad things. But it doesn't mean we have a fundamental policy to do anything to take Putin down in any way. Expressing outrage without any clear policy on how to make change, aka the official platform of every politician." Speaking of outrage and empty promises, I'll have more on that after the break. Welcome back. Some Democratic governors are introducing tough-on-crime legislation, including rolling back bail reform to fight a surge in violent crime in their states. These include the governors from New York, New Mexico, and New Jersey. Wait, that's just about all of the new states. Why are you holding out New Hampshire? Oh, it's because they already overhauled their bail reform over a month ago, with the state senator saying, "We were assured over and over and over again that this 2018 bail reform law was not going to apply to people who commit violent crimes. That hasn't been the case." These Democratic governors are likely introducing this legislation because they will soon be up for re-election. So to try and remain in office to further their liberal policies, they're adopting conservative policies to overturn their liberal policies. Yep, I think they've got this election in the bag. I'm actually not kidding when I say that. People vote by party, not policy. No matter how hypocritical or even criminal a politician is, a lot of people will still vote for them because of their party affiliation. Isn't partisanship fun? President Biden is also adopting a more conservative policy around criminal justice. In next year's budget proposal, he's asking for $32 billion to fund the police. He's also proposing increasing military spending. More money for the police and the military. This move is actually going to unite the right and the progressives, because now both will feel silly for fearing/hoping that Biden would be a more liberal president. Thinking that Biden was going to be super progressive is like thinking that O.J. Simpson was going to find Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman's real killers. Any day now, they're probably hiding out somewhere on one of these golf courses. However, Biden is planning on paying for these more conservative policies with a very progressive one. He proposed a billionaire minimum income tax of 20% on the uber-wealthy 0.01% of Americans who make more than $100 million a year. I'll have more next week on why the billionaire minimum income tax is just a clever marketing ploy. President Biden says this proposed tax would reduce the national deficit by $360 billion over the next 10 years, which sounds like a lot until you realize that the Federal Reserve has printed trillions of dollars in just the past year to cover the cost of the Biden administration's spending. This is kind of like a liberal trust fund kid rebelling against their rich conservative parents by saying, "I don't need you anymore. I'm going to start paying my own cell phone bill. Oh, and by the way, don't forget my rent is due at the first of the month. And be sure to pay for my car and student debt loans and credit card bills too. Thanks, love you, bye." Speaking of out-of-touch rich people, the NFL. The NFL announced that all 32 teams will be required to have a minority offensive coach on their staff for the 2022 season. This is in response to a lack of diversity of head coaches for NFL teams. This move is intended to boost minority coaches' chances of being promoted to head coach, since more head coaches tend to be hired when they have an offensive background. Offensive background in terms of the game, not offensive backgrounds like some of the players have. Look, diversity, representation, and inclusion are great things and should be something everyone strives for. But hiring people based on the color of their skin just feels gross. Unless it's for something less important than football, like the Supreme Court. I'm just saying, I don't feel comfortable knowing that the Browns isn't just an NFL team, it's also how they refer to the people they're looking to hire. And after the break, there's new debate over giving reparations to African Americans. Welcome back. California Governor Gavin Newsom created a 2-year reparations task force back in 2020 to look into the damages caused by slavery and what kind of reparations may be appropriate for Black Americans. This week, that task force narrowly voted to only provide compensation to descendants of Black people who were in the U.S. in the 1800s, as opposed to all Black Americans, regardless of their family history. The task force is less than a year into its study, and no concrete compensation plans have been made or suggested as of yet. But if this moves forward, it could set precedent for reparations at the federal level. Knowing how politicians, especially incorruptible ones like Gavin Newsom, usually operate, I'm expecting the Black Americans who will be receiving these funds will be BlackRock, Blackwater, and Black & Decker. Because if anyone in America deserves to be given more money by the government, it's definitely corporations. The Omicron BA.2 stealth variant of COVID-19 has become the new dominant strain around the world, accounting for 86% of global cases. As I said in a previous episode, it's not actually a stealth variant, but the media is going to keep calling it that just because it sounds cool. Though Omicron BA.2 is more transmissible, there's no evidence to suggest it's more likely to cause severe illness or death than previous variants. In response to the spread of this new variant and potential future variants, Dr. Fauci said Americans need to be prepared for new COVID restrictions. If things change and we do get a variant that does give us an uptick in cases and hospitalization, we should be prepared and flexible enough to pivot toward going back at least temporarily, to a more rigid type of restrictions, such as requiring masks indoor, which is basically Fauci speak for, please put me back on television, my bobblehead sales are way down. And in great news for Dr. Fauci, there's a new Omicron variant in town. Move over, BA2. It's time for Omicron XE. That's seriously what it's called, the Omicron XE hybrid. Yes, we're now naming coronavirus variants like they're Toyota Camrys. Omicron XE is actually a hybrid of the original Omicron BA1 and the new BA2 variants, and the gas mileage is great. Should we be worried about it? Yes, we should always be worried, no matter what. According to the latest media reports, Omicron XE is the most transmissible version of Omicron yet. But it's also too soon to know how contagious it is. And if you're thinking, wait, those things are the opposite of each other, you're right. But no one ever went broke betting against people's reading comprehension or on Fauci bobbleheads. Buy, buy, buy! And while Fauci is telling us to prepare for more COVID restrictions, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis announced Florida and 20 other states would be suing the Biden administration for less restrictions, specifically the federal mask mandate on public transportation. If politicians and celebrities can attend the Super Bowl unmasked, every U.S. citizen should have the right to fly unmasked. It is well past time to get rid of this unnecessary mandate and get back to normal life. DeSantis also added that he felt more people would be willing to visit Florida if they didn't have to wear a mask on a plane while flying there. Pretty sure the reason some people are hesitant to visit Florida isn't masks. It's Florida. No one is thinking, being eaten by alligators and cannibals on bath salt's totally fine, but wearing cloth over my face on a plane, that's terrifying. More COVID booster shots could soon be on the way. The FDA authorized a second booster shot of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine for everyone over 50 and anyone over 12 with a compromised immune system. This fourth shot is said to offer more protection against severe illness and death in this new variant that hasn't shown any evidence that it's more likely to cause severe illness or death. Sure, why not? Better safe than sorry, I guess. Just to be extra super duper safe, why don't we just all start wearing spacesuits? This way the virus can't get in, and you never have to worry about smelling someone's awful BO on the elevator ever again. Pfizer's chief executive said this additional booster will be needed to help fight waning immunity from the previous booster. But he also said they're working on an even better vaccine. While this emergency use authorization will help address a current need for some, we're working diligently to develop an updated vaccine that not only protects against current COVID-19 strains, but also provides more durable responses. Is it just me, or does it sound like Pfizer is starting to market its vaccines like they were iPhones? Yeah, the last one stopped working, but this new one is going to be even better. At least your iPhone lasts 2 years before you need to update it. I just hope this new vaccine comes with a 4K camera and 5G, and maybe an extended warranty. So, what do you think about the stories we covered this week? Let us know in the comments below. And remember, America Uncovered is supported mainly by viewers. Be sure to visit patreon.com/AmericaUncovered. Contribute $1 or more per episode. We rely on your support to help us keep making great episodes. Or join our exclusive social media community on Locals. Check out AmericaUncovered.locals.com. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.